Hey there, it's Elizabeth. Hope y'all are doing well. Today I am going to I do believe this will be the fifth video in the series of the Hybrid Creative Journal, the fifth and final. And what I'm going to talk about today is my opinion on this whole setup. All right. Yeah, my thoughts on it, good and bad. So a few months ago, actually, it was longer than that. I can't remember. It could have been back in January or back last year. I can't remember. Yeah, it was back last year. I had decided that I wanted to do an altered composition book. Well, first of all, y'all know that that's what I use for my journaling, for my daily journaling, is an altered composition book. And I will put all the links to the other 4 videos in this series, going all the way back to when I first had the idea and when I first made this book and what it looked like originally and all that kind of stuff. This is my March and April creative journal for 2019. Now, what I did is I took the composition book and took it apart, took all the papers out, and then added a 1.5-inch spine to the side, sewed in 2 signatures, right? And this is just a crochet thread. Sewed in 2 signatures using the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. And then the intention was that I'm not done with this book yet, but I'm ready to give my review on my own product, okay? Because a lot of you have asked, oops, let me get in frame. Yeah, a lot of you have asked, how has it worked out for you, Elizabeth? What are your thoughts on it? Do you like working in it? All that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to go through that now with you. So the whole idea of the book was to have 2 signatures in it, because all of my books, since I started 5 years ago, all of my journals have 2 months, so that at the end of the year I have 6 full books. Okay, this was my March. I put literally everything but the kitchen sink in these books, so they get really bulky really fast. So there was March, and then here was my April. Okay, and I'm still not done. I'm still it's still April right now, so I'm not quite done with it yet. And then in the center of the book, held on with an elastic, was this faux flow or flowish or scrap bin. Okay, we could just call it a scrap bin. So I put this together and put this in the center, right? And then, but see what happens when you leave that in. And obviously, okay, let me try to explain this better. So, okay, why don't we do this? This is the one that I'm currently working in. Okay, let's just take one off the shelf. All right, here's one that has not been used yet. Okay, so this is how it starts out looking. Okay, I just tied it together with seam binding. All right, so inside are the 2 sewn in signatures, okay, one in the front and one in the back. All right, then you have this large space here. What you put there attached with an elastic is this center part, your scrap bin. Okay, why don't we just call it that, a scrap bin? And then this is how it starts out, right? And so the idea originally, my idea for this type of journal is that you would use what is in your scrap bin, right? So this is a portable scrap bin, in other words, okay? And it houses things that you want to use within your journal, whether it's little index cards, stickers, happy mail here, little bits and pieces you can use as tags and fodder and journaling spots, right? Other things that you can use, washi tape samples, okay? Whatever you want. See, I've torn papers to use and things. This is a cutoff from a paper I used. I have not used this fabric yet. These are little bits that I would tear from and use in my book. Notepad papers that I would use in my book. See, I've torn, well, this is loose, so I've torn that, cut bits off of here, okay? Here are some other bits that I've used that I've put in here as well, okay? So in your traveling scrap bin, what do we call it? I don't know, I need to come up with a name. I don't need to come up with a name, but you know what I'm saying. Okay, so the idea is that you attach this into the center of the book, and then as you journal on your permanent, signature, this part here, this first part will get fatter and fatter and fatter with your journaling, and then this should dwindle, 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 right? And then the same with the back signature, okay? So that was the original idea, and that's what it would have looked like, you know, starting out, right? Okay, so I originally thought that it was going to be, well, it is a fabulous idea, I think, in theory, okay, in theory. Here are some things that, some issues that I ran into, okay? Well, wait a second, let's back up. So some of the positive things, right, are that you can have a journal that is actually, you know, big enough to house two months in it without like going absolutely crazy and really fat. Okay, that's a good point, or a good part. You've increased the spine here. You have a homemade, handmade book, which is always fun. If you're like me and have OCD tendencies, you like things uniform. I have a thing with black spines. I enjoy looking on my shelf, as I'm doing right now as I speak, and seeing, I don't even know how many, well over 20 black spines all in a row. Yes, that's just a thing. So I like the uniformity of it. I love the size of it. I love the size of a composition book. I love that I took these pages and added to them, right? So in other words, in the original book, the pages are blank. I don't care what the background looks like. This is another way to use up your pages. You just make a junk journal. I wasn't looking for anything specific. I didn't want anything specific because generally I was going to cover it up, okay? In this book here, I made a lot of tucks and tags and pockets and all that kind of stuff. I happen to enjoy journaling that way. That's another good point about this, I think, if you're into that sort of thing, is because you can add as much journaling as you want. You know, if a lot of stuff happened that day, well, then you make 2 or 3 pockets and tucks, you know. If not so much happened, it doesn't have to be, like, let me see, there was a page in here somewhere. Here's one, not much happened, and I just did one little pocket and a little tag. But I do have like a flat page. I mean, surely you could just work on the flat page. Here I just did a collage. Not much was going on, so I just simply did a collage. However, that brings me to one of the downsides, I guess, of using a book like this. This right here did not come out of this, okay? This came from a Stampington magazine. So let's move on to the downsides, I guess. I do enjoy this book. I have very much enjoyed it. I love working in it. It will probably be, you know, well, that's like without it being smushed and tied. But once it's smushed and tied, then it'll be like that on my shelf, right? So the downsides are, in my opinion, okay, when you're working with this scrap bin, your portable scrap bin, flowish, faux flow, whatever you want to call it, in my case, I, of course, never know what's going to happen, you know? A lot of times, the stuff that I put in my journals is ephemera from that day. You know what I'm saying? If I go out to breakfast with my husband, I collect a paper napkin to put in my book. If I go somewhere with my daughter and she purchases something, or even my husband, you know, I will collect the tags and use those. So every single day, I never know what's going to go in my book because I don't know what's going to happen. So it's hard to anticipate that portion of it. But you can put together some things that you would most likely use, okay, within your book. Another thing that I did that I don't think I'll do next time is I completely overloaded this thing. Completely overloaded it. So that was one of the goals, or I guess one of the ideas when I did this book originally, was to minimize my stress, okay, about putting a page together. Minimize the material so that I could almost become more creative with the less stuff I had, right? Because I said originally, sitting here in my craft room, it does get overwhelming. Everywhere I look, there is stuff, okay? Stuff that I can use, stuff that really doesn't need to be here, just stuff in general. So that was the idea of having this like portable scrap bin with you, so that you could use up your stuff. The only problem that I have with it is that I put too much stuff into it, So even though it's a small book, it is still overwhelming to me. It's still overwhelming. So the next one that I make, I'm going to have less stuff in it, I'm probably going to pre-make some tags. That was another thing, because for instance, if I use this right here as a pocket, let's say, and then maybe I wanted to use this as a tag, then I would kind of want to decorate the tag. I would want to put paper on the back for lines and all that. That all takes time, So, yeah. I think I would probably go through my stash and pull out tags that I already have, or journaling cards that I already have, things that I can quickly glue down to make a tag, right? If I wanted to do it that way. Because, like I said, if we look back in the book here, the style that I've chosen to use these days has been pockets, tucks, and tags. That's just, like this right here, this tag here took, a little bit to put together. I'm not going to lie, It took time to, figure out what I wanted to do. It took time to, I looked and found, well, this actually did come from this portable scrap bin. And then all these things came from the portable scrap bin as well. And then this came from a Stampington magazine that did not come from the bin. So there you have it. Okay. It's stuff that came from all over the place. Yeah, this came from a Stampington magazine that happened to be by my desk. So this did not come from that scrap bin, so I don't know if I'm making any sense at all. I'm really just rambling on and on. I like the book. I very much enjoy working in it. I need to think about how I will go forward with my next hybrid, because I want to continue doing them. I do want to continue doing them. But yeah, I'm going to have to rethink how I go about doing the portable scrap bin part. This is too much for me. Too much stuff in here for me. So I need to have less stuff, I think. And it might even be helpful to sit down, for me anyway, I don't know about you guys, but for me, it might even be helpful for me to go through my pages and say, okay, here I made a tag out of, Braille paper. So maybe I could just put one tag of Braille paper in, you know what I mean? I made a tag out of the stuff that was in my scrap bin, my portable scrap bin. And so maybe I could just make up something like this to already have in that book. So that to have in the scrap bin, the portable scrap bin, because then I could just say, oh, okay, yeah, I need a tag about this big. I'll just go ahead and use this one and call it macaroni. You know what I mean? So I think that I would want to almost set up. And now some of you might be saying, and I thought about this also, geez, Elizabeth, I don't have time. I don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Okay. Well, it depends on your life and your lifestyle. I know that a lot of you are busy. You're either busy with your gems at home, or, your gems in general, or, your spouse, your family, or you have a job outside the home. And so you just need a place, if you want to journal, you just need a place to jot down something quick about that day and get your creative juices flowing and, create a page. I have a little bit more time than many, and journaling this way is like, it's my baby. You know what I mean? That's my go-to creative outlet, is this journal. So I'm not interested in how can I do this in 10 minutes, or how can I do this in 15 minutes so I can get on to the next thing. No, this is how I relax. This is how I create. This is my one true love as far as, you know, crafting and stuff. This is what I do. So, you know, yeah, would I like a little bit more time to, you know, paint girls' faces, or to, you know, make junk journals, or to make tags and envelopes and all the other? Sure, you know, but this is my first go-to, you know, so I don't take time into account when I'm doing it. Yes. Does it take me a while to do a page like this, or a spread like this, or 2 days like this? Yes, it does. For me, it's worth it, because this is my life. This is my autobiography. This is my, you know, favorite thing to do craft-wise. So it all depends on what you want your journal to be, on what direction you want your journal to go in, on what style you want your journal to be. It just all depends on you. I would very much highly suggest that you join some journaling groups if you're interested in journaling. There are many out there. I will leave a link to many of the groups that I belong to. There are different forms of journaling. There are different, you know, ways of journaling. There is so many different ways. So this is not the only way. This is just one way. It just happens to be my way that I enjoy doing it. So anyhow, the good and the bad of working in this book, I hope I explained it. Yeah, just briefly again, I love the size of the composition notebook. I love that it's handmade by me. I really enjoyed putting together the signatures. I enjoyed decorating right on top of the permanent, you know, on top of the background page, the base page. Okay, let's call it that. I enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed making pockets and tucks. I like that 2 months fit in the book. And in the end, it's not going to be super duper fat, you know, it's going to be a little chunky, but it's not going to be like my other one. Okay, so those are the good points. The bad points, I guess you could call them, or the things that I will change for next time. Let's not call them bad. The things that I will change for next time. I will lessen the amount of stuff in the portable scrap bin, okay, that fits in the center of your book. I will make that smaller and have less materials. I will also probably try to prep some tags and such, so that I don't have to sit here and spend a large amount of time making tags. I can have some already prepped and ready to go. Yeah. And I think that's it. Yeah, I'll lessen the things that are in this book. See, there are a lot of things that I didn't even use, right? Yeah, so I think that's it. Oh, look, hybrid. Oh, hybrid. Okay, so I think that's it. I think that's, you know, my review on my book. Things I liked, things I didn't like. So, if you have any questions, please feel free to leave them below. And make sure you check the links below. I will have all of the videos in this series, starting with the very first one where I came up with the idea of combining all these different books into one book. And then I have, I do believe, 3 tutorials on how to make the book itself. And then this one being my review of the book itself. So I hope it was helpful. I hope you could understand it. And yeah, again, if you have any questions, leave them below. Thank you for your time. Thank you for sharing it with me. And I hope you all have a great day and a wonderful rest of your week. And I'll talk at y'all soon. Bye.